I'm not going to generalize it as non-veterans just being mean-hearted or anything in the questions that typically pop up. I think it's just ignorance. I mean, a lot of what I find hard about relating to non-veterans and why I typically don't do it anymore is initially the first question that comes out of their mouth is, or the line of questioning is, oh, did you go anywhere? Yeah, I went to Afghanistan. Oh, did you kill anybody? And that question right there, which is something that they're asking just to satisfy their own morbid curiosity, is all I can explain why they would ask somebody that. But for somebody who has actually done that, that's it's an extremely intimate and not a very good chapter in a person's life. And to tell somebody I don't even fucking know this guy who's asking me this, but he wants to know one of the deepest truths about me, right off the bat, just for shits and giggles, is, it's typically why I choose not to share my veteran status with people I don't know.
I think they don't understand what they're asking. They just don't get it, I guess. He asked me, oh, did any of your friends die? And I was just like, that's like a fucked up question to ask somebody. Like, did your friends die? It's just like, well, my dad died when I was 2. Do you want to talk about that too? That's what I said to him. And he was just like, he got really awkward and weird. I was like, the reason I said that was to put a perspective on the type of question he was asking.
I think what they're probably looking for is the most gruesome, gnarly, crazy thing. But when you satisfy what they were looking for, their reaction might be disgust, and maybe what they were looking for was satisfied, which is maybe their conception of, well, all Rangers or all people in the military, all people in the Army are gruesome, baby killing, whatever. And so they're, yep, see, I knew it. But they're still not ready to hear it. And so some people might, say like, yep, killed like 50 people. And like, oh, really, what was that like? And then once again, it's the next stage of it. Well, I was okay with it. Really? You were okay? So it's like, what are they really looking for? And there's been times where I'll just tell them, like, yeah, I've seen dead people, not in the Sixth Sense type way. I mean, it's a fact of war. Now, has everybody? No. Do they want to know? Yeah, I've gone around and picked up one half of a person and I picked up the other half of a person. And their look is, oh my God. Do they want to know that 2 bombs were sent simultaneously? One of them detonated and one of them didn't. And so when people go in to go inspect things, they find a 500-pound bomb pinning a man to the ground that was still alive. And the only reason why he was still alive is because the bomb pushed the head of his femur so far into his hips that it pinched off his femoral artery, and that's why he didn't die. And do they also want to know that my medic helped save that man's life, helped put a tourniquet on him and everything? The bad guy that was putting in IEDs and was ready to kill people, that we tried to take care of the situation. The guy lived, and then my team and my medic went down and got this guy and then saved his life. Do they want to hear that? Probably not, no. They might ask you, but they don't want to know. They truly don't want to know. Do they want to know about all the other things that happen? Nope, they don't.
Was it difficult? Absolutely. One of the things that wasn't pointed out until I got thrown into it was that it's one of the most academic jobs there is in the service. You don't have to be smart with numbers or know the tactics to be able to shoot a minigun from a kilometer out while flying in an aircraft going 80 knots. But to be afforded the opportunity to do that, you had to give a shit, which meant you had to study and know the numbers and know the physics behind what it was we did when you send a round down range on a moving platform at a possibly moving target.
It's not high school, and it's not regular life. It's training. It's hard life, and it's learning about different ways of life. You get to meet a lot of different people throughout the military, come from different aspects of life, different regions, and really opens your eyes from Portland, Oregon to all across the nation. You're meeting new people. So for the most part, you got to be open-minded, and you're all there for the same mission. I've seen my friends get hurt, lose body parts, die. I remember, one of the biggest one was my platoon sergeant. I mean, he was like a father to me. And one of our front vehicles got hit. The second vehicle got hit with IEDs, and I was going to go up there with my vehicle and assess the situation, and he told me to stay back and secure the area, and he went up there and his vehicle got hit, and that was it. The whole vehicle was gone. Two of my friends and my platoon sergeant, and that's probably the most memorable to me, is just losing someone so significant in your life to you.
All of a sudden we started getting lit up, and I was with Echo Company, and there was Corporal Cody was like, we got to get up on this hill. And I just remember seeing rounds impact, and then I just shot and I shot the ground in front of me. It was almost embarrassing. I was scared at first, my very first time. And then we started engaging back, and then we were on a hilltop and with not a lot of cover or anything, and I was just like, this is real. This is war. And I just felt like, they're just zeroing on us, we're gonna get hit. We couldn't move, we were kind of pinned, and I just remember we were calling for QRF, and I hear the radios, and QRF's coming, and QRF's quick reaction force, and they're like, oh yeah, we're getting radio checks, and I remember screaming where the fuck is QRF, because we were just getting lit up.
And they had come under some fire. One of their guys had gotten killed with the rest of his squad pinned down. So we go in to initially suppress so they could recover the body and bring him back. So, this is the first time, not even a month into the first deployment, and I'm like, all right, this is it. And they had to cross into this open field, was the last stretch for about another 500 yards until they got home and were safe. So they start funneling out of the tree line to get home, and about half of the company had made it into that, what I'll refer to as a kill zone, because there's no cover, it's just an empty field. When my partner crew chief, Gundo, he's got eyes on the whole thing, and all of a sudden he starts screaming that they're taking fire, which perks my ears up. I run to the other side, start looking at what's going on, and it's just RPG after RPG after RPG, mortars coming down on them, tracer fire all over them, they're all on the deck. Instantly, the radio calls start coming from the JTAC they had on the ground, who was trying to coordinate us to get in on it. When my buddy Gunderson says he's got the point of origin, he sees where they're all shooting from, which was within that same tree line that they had emerged from, about 50, 100 yards to their south. And then without hesitation, our pilot just makes the in call, and we're going to shoot for self-defense. So then we just start making gun run after gun run after gun run on this tree line, where it was a firefight.
You don't even realize that something's going on when you first get back. I think it really started is when we went our separate ways after we got back, because then you lost that support system. And I think that's what really started it. You're like, oh, now people don't understand you, because you really do see life through a different lens when you're tested like that, when you go through experiences, and other people really don't get it, but that's not their fault too, and you got to realize that it's not their fault that they don't understand you.
There's thousands of other veterans and millions of non-veterans that just can't relate, and that they might look at the other individual as in a very negative way, in a negative light. I think if articulated well, sharing an experience could be beneficial to both sides.
A lot of people say, oh, you did the easy way out, you went and joined the military. That pisses me off. You've never done it. You tell me it's easy.
We're not a bunch of baby killing, knuckle dragging idiots, that just that can't think for themselves and just do whatever the machine tells us to do. The vast majority of the individuals that I work with are incredibly intelligent. I worked with people who were educators, who have master's degrees and even doctorates. They gave that stuff up. to go carry big things up mountains for presumably no reason, and then to carry it back down and then jump out of an aircraft. Well, they did it for certain reasons. They gave up a lot to do this type of thing.
I was in combat dealing with emergency trauma situations in the field, in environments that were a lot more stressful than a hospital. But now I can't even make $12 an hour or whatever for an EMT. If you're good enough to do a job in the military, why aren't you good enough to do it when you get out?
Coming from the Marine Corps, where you're the most professional sort of person in this country, he's a Marine, and then dealing with, I mean, we joke about it and call it civilian slobs, that was probably the hardest part. I was always at my wit's end with coworkers, with fellow students. I mean, nothing ever happened, but I was visibly agitated and usually come across as a dick.
It's almost shut up, don't say anything because you don't know anything. You haven't been through war. You haven't seen what I've seen, and you can't go through life living that way. But yeah, I mean, it's a struggle, and I think now I'm just finally getting to the point of realizing what you need to do to succeed in life after the war, and after seeing some things that we've seen through war times.
People had it way worse than me. Sometimes I'm almost embarrassed to be like, oh, like, yeah, to go get help, but like, whatever. If you need it, you need it, Especially, if you're in a combat role.
I live my life for all my brothers that didn't make it back, or that, couldn't make it in real life, in the civilian life, and that's sad. But I would say just keep going. There is success at the end of the tunnel. There is success day to day in a daily life, as long as you give it all you have. Just like everyone, if you're a combat vet, and you're here staying today, you gave it all you had in war, and you got to do the same thing outside of war. So
If I wouldn't have found this individual and sought help, there's no telling where I'd be right now. And it's been a long road. And what's crazy is, like I said, it's hardly any of it has to do with combat. It's about that transition and dealing with people who no longer get you. You're no longer around people who you can just look at and they'll just like, I know, man, I know. And you didn't even say anything. You just looked at them.
There's support out there, man, and you're not alone. Like, I'm here. There's a lot of us here. Hit us up, and we can point you in a direction. If we can't help, like, we're not going to be able to help all the time. But as long as I think we should just keep in touch with each other too. We get caught up in our own lives. We all get it. But hit that dude up from your squad that you still have his phone number. You see him on Facebook or whatever. Be like, yo, what's up, man? Just knowing that someone else is out there, like, thinking about old times or whatever, I think helps too.